just like the sponsor says on the side of his car, he crushes it. He does a great job. Let's welcome in, all the way from Saskatoon, Matthew Shirley. What's going on there, number 12? How are you?
Good, you, Joe?
Doing fantastic. Got a little tidbit of information when we had DJ on. Sounds like we're going to see you back in the NASCAR Canada car this year.
Yes, sir. We're going to be out there for the Napa 300 at Edmonton International Raceway this year.
Cool. That's what you really wanted to do. Now, Matthew, I know that usually springboards into more than one race. Is it just the one race so far, or can we maybe see in more?
It is for this year. Biggest reason when the schedules came out there in the fall, we had to pull some audibles. We did talk with our sponsors already in regards to what 2026 was going to look like. But the part that is exciting is actually we're going to be running for the full-time late model championship out of Edmonton this year too. So we're with Crush It, we're focusing on trying to get some more exposure out in Alberta. So they were based out of Saskatchewan, and we've been kind of going with the program, a local driver on a national scale and a local product on a national scale, right?
Right.
So for us, we're taking that step into Alberta more. Got to thank Loretta and Ron Thiering for them reaching out. Obviously, we all saw NASCAR wasn't coming on the schedule for Saskatoon this year.
Yeah.
So that was one thing we definitely had a balance, talking with our partners on what we're going to do. And being able to run a full-time late model schedule out of Edmonton is massive for us. Get a run for a NASCAR championship. That's their NASCAR local series now, they call it, but by O'Reilly's. So being just associated with that and being able to run with their top end local talent out there, and then run with the NASCAR Canada series when it comes to town, it's going to be a fun year.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a busy one, no doubt. But correct me if I'm wrong here. That late model is different than your super late model that we see at Sutherland Automotive Speedway. That's a super. What do you got another car? Are you going to have to make another one?
Well, I'm going to sell their program out here on this. Actually, so Loretta reached out to me and we were talking about potentially doing. They have a couple cars out there with some two-seaters, or not some with some two-seaters, some rental cars essentially. They do have a two-seater program, but those are like the prolates that we're used to seeing running out of Saskatoon. Though their late model is really like the old cast cars, which is really exciting. I came from the Sportsman when I first started, which was my dad's old cast car.
Right.
And I mean, the NASCAR Canada cars, everyone hears about cast car before. It's basically just the older version of those cars. So we're going to be running a car that's basically prepped out of Edmonton for the entire season, which is good. We talked about just doing the Friday day, and then after more discussions there, when we looked like what we could do for our sponsor out in the Edmonton area, it was a no-brainer for us to be able to put this program together. And like I said, I have to thank Loretta and Ron a whole bunch, because it's really nice as a racer when you're getting reached out to saying, hey, it's like, I know that's not coming out to Saskatoon this year. It's like, what can we do to help you get out to Edmonton, right? It's just that little reach out and having conversations. It goes a long, long way for ourselves and our partners.
Well,
so being able to do this for them is good.
It's going to be huge, too, for the fandom at Edmonton International Raceway to have Matthew Shirley coming in out of Saskatchewan each and every regular show there.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge for them as well. They're going to have some really good talent jumping behind the wheel at their racetrack. It's going to be that's going to be a cool twist. Now, how will you pull that off? Will you be flying back and forth, or are you going to do the drive? Because it's a healthy drive.
We're going to do the drive, to be honest with you. We did a little test. We went up there and we're part of what their meeting here a few weeks back. We left Friday after work, timed it there, got in around 11. Their local racing really, like, gates for the competitors open at 1 p.m. on Saturdays. So the races are on Saturdays. So for us to either leave Friday after work or Saturday morning, we can do either or and then come back Sunday. So work schedule wise, it works. And then as well, you got your vehicle up there. So instead of the logistics of flying in, getting a rental, doing all that, we're going to be able to make it work. It's going to make summer fly by for us. But honestly, it's crazy when we're trying to evaluate the pros and cons of everything. It's like, how do we go about doing this? It's like, well, for the race part, it's like, they got a team up there that's going to be prepping these cars. We're going to work as a team, obviously, trying to make it as comfortable for myself. And obviously, we want to go out and perform really well. So there's going to be a little bit of that to go on. But as long as, knock on wood, every racer says you got to keep it clean, right?
Yeah.
We keep it clean, and we're going to be running our late models still for 2 events, for the British City 200 in Saskatoon, and as well the Western Rattler in BC. So we're able to still hit the 2 marquee events. So for our local team, for us working on the car, instead of week in, week out, we're focusing really just a month of August for that. So, and luckily for me, the car was in really good shape at the end of last year. So we're just kind of doing the fine tuning stuff now going into next year.
Well, that's not good news for the competitors when Matthew Shirley gets a chance to focus in and specifically prepare for these, particular races. That's going to be kind of cool. Now, did you say it? Maybe I missed it. Some of your 12 crew from the super late model, will they be coming with you to Edmonton to work on that late model?
Yeah, we're going to do especially beginning of the year, there's going to be a little bit more time we have to put in. But I mean, it's 11 events, which is quite a bit over the summer. So for us, we're making a plan of kind of like, we're going to have probably 3 or 4 of our full-time guys out there that'll drive up with us. So we'll have one vehicle up there with the core. And I kind of told the team already, it's like I gave them the schedule so everyone can look at, their summer plans, book their lake time and what they're doing with friends and family. I'm the only crazy idiot that's going to have to go through the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You got 11 late model races, 1 NASCAR Canada, the Bridge City 200, and the Western Rattler. You're at 15 events. It's going to be a real busy schedule for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. So but it's just, if work's listening, and don't worry guys, we're gonna be Monday to Friday. Everything's gonna be hunky dory. It's just when I take a couple holidays, it's gonna be rest.
Yeah, I would say so. NASCAR Canada, you'll be coupled in with DJ once again. Edmonton International Raceway, and I got to say this, Matthew. You alluded to it there a wee bit with Ron and Loretta, but I can't tell you how many people within the industry of NASCAR Canada said that Loretta and Ron should win Promoter of the Year for promoting their NASCAR Canada race. They're on it right now, pushing all the way through, and they have been since the checker flag flew at the last one. They do a tremendous job getting fans ready to go for the show.
Well, 100%, and that's where, consistency and passion is just massive. They've been able to build off their momentum year after year after year, and to be a part of the show I've been out there twice with the NASCAR Canada series now, and I've been able to score my top 10s, it seems, majority out of there, believe it or not, rather than Saskatoon. So the track's great, and every time we're out there, the fans are packed. They do a whole bunch of promotional, when you're going into the hotels and the restaurants before, the whole NASCAR week. Again, it's massive. So for us to be able to put this program together with them, this is kind of it's as good as it is for us. This is also a thing. And it's I really am just appreciative of what they're doing out there for us to be able to showcase our talents there and be able to give back to their local show this way.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Will you get much test time in that late model before things get real and points start tabulating? Are you going to get out and get any test time?
I hope so. But when it comes to the NASCAR Canada stuff, that's the saving grace is that we're kind of used to hopping in the car and just going. Now I've always been spoiled with what DJ's been able to do for us, and the car that you jump into and what they've been able to provide it's incredible. It's top notch. So we definitely want to take some time to go over there, look over their stuff. This isn't the first time they've done it though. They've been doing this program for years before. It's just something that's not really, it never made it to my ear in regards to what they were doing with this. So if there's any young and aspiring, drivers that want to try to get into it, I can tell from my perspective, from being from another track out of province, you got 2 promoters there. You got Loretta and Ron, who are trying to make their track the place to be for NASCAR, and they're doing a great job. So if you're thinking about you want to try taking some next steps, highly recommend going down this route. So to answer your question, I really hope I can practice with it. Well, I got to make it look at getting decked out in the Crush It scheme. They're going to want to go the once over the car. We're going to want to do a once over on the car. And hopefully I can get 15 to 20 laps before the first race day.
Now, I was sort of focusing in on the late model end of it. Will you get any test time with that late model? And will the late model, the super late model, and the NASCAR Canada car, are they going to be all sponsored the same, all 3?
Yeah, I'm very pleased that the scheme we went with last year was a huge success. That Crush It Dodge Challenger, and as well the Crush It Camaro with the late model really stood out. Fans were happy, sponsors were happy. So we're going to keep that same wrap as what we had last year on it, and we're going to carry it over so all three cars have the exact same scheme. So the number might be different with running DJ. I know last year I got a chance to use the 46. You were on Dad's number, which was really cool. But Jamie Krizik, I want him to come back out and race in Edmonton. So he's the 46. So I already messaged him. I'm like, Jamie, just come back out. 46 is yours. I'll swap back to either the 28 or the 12. I'll talk with DJ. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And hopefully, like you say, we get more cars in Edmonton. That would be a real cool sight. There is no doubt that's got to be the tightest, toughest racetrack in Canada that those cars get on. And probably you. In Saskatoon, you got more room to move. In Edmonton, you're not that fortunate, man. You got to be spot on every lap.
100%. And last year it was, as a racer, you always want to be, I know I was listening to DJ's interview before, you want to be chasing the checkers for the sponsors and that, and having the conversations, like when you're looking at that top 10 and when you're just flirting with it, like for us, like to me, that's a huge accomplishment being there. But when we need to have the car counts about the close to 20, that's awesome. Because when we went to Montmagny last year, we're sitting 13th, 14th. I was having some radio issues. You know, you're trying to save the car, you get up closer to 10th, and then you fall back. Like when you're there with that top 10, it's incredible. And that top 10 talent, the teams, the programs, what they're doing behind the scenes for us to be flirting with it, and we just need more seat time behind it. The longer that we're in it, the better we're going to get. I know it.
Yeah, and track position means so much at that short track. I know at most tracks, guys won't put a lot into qualifying. They'll wait and, have it so that their race car races well. Man, I'll tell you, at Edmonton, track position is everything at that place.
100% it is. I mean, the first time, I think my first top 10 I had the NASCAR Canada Series was in the Magnolia car, actually. That was 2 or 3 years back. And that one was a survival race for us. I think I span out once myself. And we kept the fenders on it, though. We kept gaining some spots, and by some attrition, all of a sudden we were 10th. It was a huge win for us on that one. So hopefully we can get some more cars out there, and we always try to keep the fenders clean on it. And if we can do that, and we taken everything we've learned from the last few years. This is going to be year 4 doing this with DJ, which is incredible. Time flies, and we really want to have a good finish. So the other part I'm happy with this is that we're getting more seat time in Edmonton, and so hopefully we can learn a little bit more tricks of the trade from the locals out there, and then give the NASCAR Canada guys a bit more of a run for their money.
You will, I can guarantee it. Dan Shirley is your dad. Is he going to be with you? I can well imagine, connected to the hip. Will he spot for you this year, or what's the plan for dear old Dad?
Dad's going to be a part of it. He's always a part of it. We're going to be really working on the late model. We really want to get. We finished runner-up to the Bridge League 200 now twice at our local track, so that's obviously a priority. So he's the car chief behind the scenes. We're trying everything we can to get a little bit more out of the car, and he's going to be in the crew coming up with us to Edmonton. I have my one spotter. Dad and I. He spotted for me when I was first a rookie, but it's funny how that kind of stuff worked. Dad and I like to talk. We can talk strategy and we can talk racing outside the car, but as soon as we are behind the radios, each other's father and son, sometimes it can get tough. It can get tough. Because he's a teacher too, so he likes to coach up, right?
Right.
And now for myself, I've kind of built a little bit more of an identity for myself. So Dad and I, we're better to hash it out after than the day of.
Yeah, I hear you. Little Joe and I would probably be the same. Yeah, we'd be the same as you guys. I can't help but ask this question. I know I've asked you a million times, but can you ever see the day that you load up and drag to Riverside for the IWK 250? I can't help it, Matthew. You would fit that race like a glove, and you would fly around Riverside.
I'll tell you, Joe, between you and me, and for the people listening, I've told Dad that there's a bucket list of items that we are going to do, and from the work that you've done with the IWK, that is one of them. And it's not going to be this year, obviously, because our summer's shot.
Yeah. But
it's on the list, so don't worry. And you'll be the first one to know when that one's coming down the pipe.
But I can only imagine this when I look at the landscape, and I know the logistics for you guys coming that far is really a feat, man. It's a long way. There is no two ways around it. But I can't help but wonder if Riley Sievert and Trevor Sievert loaded that big, beautiful hauler they got, the stacker that'll fit 4 cars in it, plus pit boxes, come through, hit the Ferrari, stop and grab you and Trent Seidel, load those 2, and keep going to the East Coast. And the 4 of you guys show up for the IWK 250, I'm telling you, I would have to pack it in after that. My life would be complete seeing all my favorites across the country roll into my favorite race of the year. That would do it.
There we go, Joe. So let's talk with the Sieberts. Let's see what we can do. Just don't make it this year because I'm so booked.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, well, I didn't know anything about the late model aspect. That's going to be cool. How are things looking at Sutherland Automotive Speedway? Is it looking like a decent season?
For the late models, it's definitely, there's some new faces that are actually going to be joining it, which is really exciting. Brennan Curtin is a multi-time Pro Truck champion who got a late model, so he's jumping up. Braxton Clues is one that I know he's itching at the bit. He won the Sportsman Championship last year.
Right.
They're looking. I know they haven't committed to one yet, but we got a lot. And Cade Thompson actually was a guy who took a few years off. He opened up his own business. He was a very avid Pro Truck driver and very professional, and he's got a late model now. He used to be, I believe, if I'm correct, Kelly Admiral's old one, and he's got some updates coming to it. So this is the late model scene in Saskatoon's looking really good. The marquee events, the Bridge State 200 is going to be huge. There was some scheduling conflicts that make it so I think that there's going to be a couple events that, like, obviously for running for the championship, that's going to be a little bit down. I know there's some super truck guys they're running in Prince George on one of the days that they have a late model race. So it's the typical stuff, Joe. But honestly, for the amount of cars that have moved, and I mean, you got Howlett there, they got a top-notch program there. You got Chantal, you got Jared Redekop running for a championship again. Like the Saskatoon late model scene is going to be good. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little choked when I saw the schedule come out, because there's a late model race on the same day as the NASCAR race in Edmonton. So we just had to make a decision for ourselves. Obviously, we have to look after our sponsors, right? That's the reason why we're not able to run a full-time season out in Saskatoon this year. So I wish all of the Saskatoon competitors the best. And I told Dad this. It's like, it sucks that we're not able to run the full season, defend the championship this year, because we had a really great year last year. But now we get to go into that 200 not worrying about points.
Yeah.
I tell you, Joe, there's something to be said for that. I'm the driver who likes to keep the fenders on the car, obviously, right?
Right.
But I'm going to have a little bit more of a Trent Seidel mentality, I think. You know?
Well, that's like Trent, right? He focuses in and he cherry picks, and when he comes out, look out. He's there to win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're going to take a look.
There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, it should sell more tickets.
It definitely should. That 200 day is shaping up. August 8th is shaping up to be one heck of an event. The new faces that are out and what they got going on, and a quick shout out to Penticton and what they were doing with their Pro Late Model program out there. They have a few new faces in there, new drivers, and they got a shop out there that they're working on, cars getting out. They're going to have a really strong fleet out there this year running locally, and then if one coming out for the 200 in Saskatoon and then the Radler right after. The tracks work together to make the schedules work, and there's going to be some really good pro late model racing out in Western Canada this year. It's going to be great.
Isn't that beautiful when people work together and things start to mesh? Man, I'll tell you, that is the way it's supposed to be. And those events, the Bridge City 200 and that Western Radler, I got to make it to both those this year. It's going to be that good.
It is, Joe. I promise you, it's going to be good.
Social media, everything the same, so fans can stay up with you?
Yep, I'm Facebook. It's just Matthew Shirley. You can follow me, do it direct until I max out the friends on there. I'm going to keep adding friends. So if you're an avid race fan, you want to follow us, just follow us on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Matt_Shirley12. We do have a website now.
Oh, do you?
I should have really got the link of what I think. If you look up Matthew Shirley Racing on Google, you'll find it. So we do have a website now, so you can follow us with that too.
Yeah, and there's so much, like these days, preparation-wise, from a team guy, the amount of stuff that you've got to do with the social media outside the race car, and then inside the race car, but to prep the car and to have all the bodies in the right place. There's a lot to it these days. There's a lot more to it today than what there ever was in the past.
100%. The social media part, and I mean, for us and our race team, I mean, all the social media posts, it's organic. That stuff's coming from me. I'll have some family read over it, just make sure that some of the typos are all good, because when you're just in your zone, you always need a little bit of a check that way. So I got to thank Dad and Mom and to Neil for always, when I pass them content, that they can give it a once over and give me some good feedback. But it's everything, the trader cards that we make, I'm doing those, when we're working with press releases, working with sponsors, working with proposals, all that stuff in the background, that's all done from this side of the fence. So when people see the off season, it's like, well, you guys just working on the car. It's like, no, the team's got some time off here for the first couple months so they can rest. And then that's where I basically make my due until we get to race season, is that we got to get this stuff prepped, because if you don't have the sponsors and you don't have them on board for what you're doing and seeing what you're doing, that's the other thing.
Yes.
Some sponsors can't make it to the races all the time. So you have to give them the proper updates. You got to have the socials. You have to have the website. You got to have all these other pieces to make it their money worthwhile, right?
That's right. The value's all there. You got to show them what they missed.
Yes.
And you got to do a good job of it. We're fortunate here in the Southern Ontario market. We've got Motorama. It comes up next weekend. How about out in Saskatoon? Do you guys have a marquee car show that sort of kicks everything off, that maybe the 12 will appear, right?
You got her, Joe. So the annual Dragons Rod Custom Car Show. It's been an annual car show for 50, they're almost at 60 years, I think now. Out in Saskatoon, they do it at Prairie Land Park. So they have it at multiple halls. They'll have a couple hundred vehicles out there, old classics, race cars, everything. And we do that for our sponsors every year. So we got a spot set up for that already. And there's talks about doing some stuff in Alberta too. So we'll see what we can end up putting together for that. But car shows are big. It's huge getting eyes on the product. And then everything's clean. Beginning of the year, everything's pristine.
Yeah. When does it take place, Matthew? Thereabouts?
That is on Easter weekend, which is, I think, the April 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Yeah, something like that this year. Yeah. So you will have the 12 car in that show.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
No, that's cool. Especially when, you get a number of race cars. It gets the talk all going, right? And it gets things happening. Auto clearing, or not auto clearing, but Sutherland Automotive Speedway is different than all the other tracks where, you get a family-owned speedway. Not so out there. It is the race base that owns the speedway, and there's a lot to it. How does the executive look? They get all that stuff. I would well imagine everything's put to bed and ready to go.
Yeah, no, they had elections back in October, so they got the new executive going there. So they got a new marketing person, I heard, that's been coming around here too, so a little bit. So there's a little bit of just catching up and getting people up to speed. There's always, when in the volunteer world, it's catching the new people up. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes you have some experienced people who they take a step back, and it's that transfer of knowledge and making sure you have everything going. But they got their schedule out early. They've been now just got to get kind of following up with the sponsorships and get it ready. The season's looking pretty good. I know the NASCAR non schedule for us personally is one that sucked, but that's personal bias. They still got a lot of really good events. The Bridge City 200 was one of them. The Street Stock Invitational that they have, that they work with the Martinsville, they got the Lions Club with it, and they have basically the whole town of, not the whole town, but a good portion of the town of Martinsville. They come out with a bunch of people and they fill that place for a big Street Stock Invitational. And then our year-end Enduro is always it's a huge success. So they got a lot of marquee events still, and it's shaping up to be a good season.
Yeah, and the Canadian Super Trucks that we've been drilling down a wee bit on.
Yes.
I know Herm Hordell is working his butt off with those guys out there. That's looking like it's going to be a good series this year for fans to follow along.
100%. The Super Trucks are they're a classy group with what they got going on. Herm being a part of it. Herm used to be a promoter out in Saskatoon. I learned lots of stuff from Herm. And David Nard being a part of that series. They got clean trucks, really good looking equipment. Dusty O'Connell, Dean Bram. There's there's a lot of heavy hitters in that series, and having them come out to Saskatoon as many times as they do is a blessing, and they put on a great show. And I think for the 200, it's the late models, and then they got the super trucks booked on that day too. So you're gonna have a show on that day.
When are you gonna get your butt in one of those trucks? That would be that'd be kind of cool.
It's funny you say that, Joe. We've talked about it, especially when we were looking at doing stuff in Alberta. Just didn't work out this last year. Obviously, our summer is going to be really busy, but that's another bucket list item is to get behind the wheel of one of those, because they'd be a lot of fun. They got 604 crates and they're truck chassis, so they're going to be more like a boat going around the track, but they go. Yeah, I've seen them, and you can bump each other around and have a really good, clean race, but put on a show for the fans too.
Well, lucky I don't live closer to you. I'd be on you all the time, Matthew. Come on, let's go do this. Yeah. Too much. Hey, we've thoroughly enjoyed catching up with you, Matthew Shirley, and look forward to this summer. Going to be busy. Edmonton, Saskatoon, NASCAR Canada, all the super late model stuff. It's going to be a real good summer. I can well imagine we're going to be having you back on the show a bunch to get up to date and see how things are going.
For sure, Joe. Anytime, you know where to find me.
You betcha. Say hi to your dad. Say hi to the crew, and get ready, man. It's about to start.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
You bet. That's Matthew Shirley. You can catch up with him on social media and check out Crush It, right? It's a great drink.